Uh, okay, we'll start. We'll not wait for the other students. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Today we'll start with process synchronization. Right? So, in last lecture, we have seen the synchronization and asynchronization. So here specifically, we'll just focus on the synchronization. So actually in last lecture also we had seen there are two types of processes. So one was the cooperative and second type is the non-cooperative or independent, we can say, right? So when we say the independent processes, then what we can say, so these will execute independently, and when we consider the cooperative processes, these processes will need helps from the other process, or might be they'll share some kind of data. So these two types we have seen. Now today we'll see the process synchronization. Now here, whatever is this process synchronization, this is mainly focused on the cooperative processes, because the cooperative processes share some kind of data, and in that case how the processor will share the data, so that we'll see here, right? Now what is the process synchronization? If we see the definition, so the process synchronization is a way to coordinate the processes that use the shared data. So it's a kind of way to coordinate the processes. If suppose the multiple processes are there, the cooperative processes are there, and they want to access some shared data, so in that case how these processes will coordinate with each other, so that is nothing but the process synchronization. 1 minute. Someone is doing something. Okay, so this is the definition. We'll see the process synchronization is a way to coordinate processes that use shared data. It occurs in operating system among the cooperating processes, right? So one example I have just given here. Suppose P1, P2 and P3, so these three are the cooperating processes, and these are sharing this data, right? So whatever are the resources, so these are shared, suppose, by these three processes, and these are the cooperating processes. Now see which process can execute this portion. Either P1 can execute first, or this P2, or this is P3. This is by mistakenly I have just written this. So right. So which process can enter into this section? This is suppose one particular section, whatever the shared data that is here, and that section is called as critical section. So which process first execute this critical section? So that will be managed by these three processes. So that is nothing but the process synchronization. I think you might understood that the meaning of the process synchronization. So here, as I said, the two types of processes, the independent processes and cooperative processes. So we are not considering these kind of processes, the independent processes we are not considering, right? Because these will not share the data. But when we consider the cooperative processes, then they might share data, some code, some resources like CPU, the memory, printer, something, right? So these will be shared data, we can say, and these will be shared by the cooperative processes. But when we consider the independent processes, these will not share data. They are kind of independent, so they'll execute independently. Now, process synchronization problem arises in case of cooperative processes, and also resources are shared in cooperative processes. Now, whatever is this the process synchronization problem that arise, so that arises mainly in the cooperative processes. Now, see one term we have just used here, the critical section, right? So first we'll see the what that critical section is, and then we'll just see what problem is there because of this critical section and how we can solve that critical section problem, right? So now see, we'll see with the example like critical section. Now that critical section is nothing but the code segment. We can say this critical section is nothing but the code segment, or we can say that place where we can put some kind of the shared resources, and every the cooperating process wants to access that code. Like suppose this is the area, this is the critical section, suppose, right? And suppose you are having the processes like P1, P2, P3 and P4. 1 minute. Suppose these are the 4 processes. Now see, in this critical section, only one process at a time can enter into this. So either this P1 will enter into this critical section, or P2 or P3 or P4. So even though suppose all these 4 processes want to access this critical section, still only one process can enter into this the critical section. Suppose that P1 process enter into this critical section, then these 3 processes will not enter into this critical section. When this P1 process complete that execution of that critical section, and when this exit from this, then the any one process from this will enter. Suppose after exiting this one P1, suppose this P3 enters, right? Now when that P3 enters into this critical section, so whatever are these processes P1, P2 and P4, these will not enter into the critical section. So here you just understand, in this process synchronization, at a time only one process can access that shared resource, or we can say at a time only one process can enter into that critical section. So whatever are the shared resources are here, these are kept into this critical section. Suppose one example is a, this is one variable, and this a variable is common between all these 4 processes. Now suppose when that P3 process is using this a variable, then at that moment whatever are the P1, P2 and P4, these processes will not enter into this critical section to access that a variable. Only that P3 will access this a variable because this is inside of this. And when this P3 completes its execution with this a, and suppose P3 again exited from this critical section, then any process from the remaining like P1, P2 or P4 can enter into this critical section to access this A. Have understood this? So this is nothing but the critical section, and this is the actually problem. So what that problem is, how the only one process can enter into this critical section at a time. This is a problem, right? So for that, we'll write one code so that we will understand this, right? Suppose do This is before this one and just do it. Suppose here critical section is there, right? And some remaining section. True, right? Now see, if suppose this is the code, then what is the problem into this code? This is a critical section, and the every process, like we have the processes. Suppose here consider the P1 and P2. Consider for the simplicity only two processes. These two processes wants to execute this critical section problem. But if we write this problem, then when that P1 enters into this critical section, at that time again that P2 will enter into this critical section. So how we can avoid that entry? How we can allow only one process at a time into this critical section? So here one code will write here. This is entry section, and here we'll write exit section. Now see, it means suppose that P1 wants to enter into this critical section. So first that P1 needs to execute whatever is the code inside of this entry section, because it is having some code, right? So entry section is having some code, so that P1 first needs to execute that code, and when that code allows to enter into the critical section, then and then that P1 will enter into the critical section, right? Suppose now P1 executed successfully this entry section code and enter into this critical section. Now after that P2 wants to enter into this critical section. So again that P2 will come here, this P2 will come here, and it needs to execute this entry section code. As that P1 is inside, so that entry section code will not be executed successfully by this P2. That's why that P2 will not enter into this critical section. When that P2 enter into the critical section, when that P2 exit, and again this is a code, we'll say some code. So when this process P1 exit or completed execution and exit from this, so that P1 again needs to execute this exit section code. And after just executing successfully this P1, that exit section code, then and then that P2 will enter here, like then P2 will enter, this is exited, and whatever is the P1, this will execute the remaining portion. This remaining portion is not the common among these two processes. This is the rest portion, we can say, but only that common portion is this one. This is only common portion, right? So here you just understand, if any process wants to enter into the critical section, so first that process needs to execute this entry code. Then after successfully execution of the entry section, then and then that process will enter into the critical section. And if that process complete that execution from that critical section, and suppose that wants to exit, so that same process needs to execute this exit section code, and then that will go out. And after just exiting that process from the critical section, so new process can enter into the critical section. Have you understood this critical section problem, how we can solve this? So here, to solve this problem, we have the three conditions. So first condition is, suppose we need to solve this critical section problem. So every process must satisfy the three conditions. So I'll say here, critical section satisfy three conditions, or we can say rules. Which are these? First is mutual exclusion. What is the mutual exclusion? See, if suppose this is the critical section and P1, P2 and P3, these are the three processes. So mutual exclusion is what? At a time, only one process can enter into this critical section. That is thing. Either P1, P2 or P3, only one process will be allowed to enter into the critical section. So mutually these, we can say, mutually these three processes will decide which process needs to enter into this critical section. So only that process will enter into the critical section. So at a time, only one process will enter into the critical section. If suppose the more than one processes are entering into the critical section, then we can say this condition gets failed. So to satisfy this mutual mutual exclusion condition, so only one process needs to enter into the critical section. That's it, right? So this is the mutual exclusion. Second one is progress. Now again, same, suppose this is the critical section, P1, P2, P3. Suppose these are the three processes. Now here, suppose initially consider that there is no any process inside of this critical section. So this critical section is free. And suppose only this P1 needs to access this critical section. So this P1 directly enters into this critical section. So this process will not stop by either P2 or P3, because these two processes are not expected to enter into this critical section, because that is not the need of these two processes. Only P1 needs to execute this critical section. So directly that P1 must enter into the critical section. That process will not be stopped by either P2 or P3. Or second way, second thing you just consider here, suppose the P1 and P2, these two processes wants to enter into the critical section. Now, whatever is the competition, so that competition must between these two processes only, not with this, because this P3 is not interested to execute this critical section. So only that competition will be there amongst these two interested processes. So that is nothing but the progress. And the third condition is bounded waiting. Now, what is bounded waiting? Actually, these two conditions are primary conditions. The third condition is bounded waiting comes very rarely, but again we need to consider that condition must not come, right? So bounded condition means, like, suppose again consider this is a critical section, P1, P2, P3, and suppose P4. These four processes are there. Now consider this P1 enter into the critical section. This is entered and suppose exited, and then P2 enter, suppose, and this is exited, right? Again, suppose, see, the interested processes are like P1, P2, and suppose that P3 is also interested. But what is happening here? After just exiting this P2, again this P1 is entering into this critical section. After exiting, suppose P1, again P2 is entering into the critical section. Again P1 exiting, entering, again P2. See, only these two processes are using this critical section. These are not giving chance to enter other process to the critical section. That is the bounded problem. Now, in that case, what we need to decide? We need to decide some time limit, or that the count, we can say how many times that process wants to need to access that the critical section. So if suppose these two processes are not giving chance to enter that P4 into the critical section, so in that case we need to decide something for these processes. Otherwise, this process will not get chance to enter into the critical section. So in that case, this P4 will forcefully enter into the critical section, right? So this is nothing but the bounded problem. So if suppose any process is following these three conditions, then we can say that problem will be solved. First is mutual exclusion. Only one process must be there into the critical section, that progress. So if suppose there is no any process in the critical section and that and one process want to enter, so that should be allowed to enter, not the by any other process that stop that entering into the critical section. Or suppose the there should be a competition between only interested processes, not the non-interested processes, right? And the bounded waiting is what? There is sometime that situation comes, one process is not getting chance to enter into that critical section. So in that case, we need to decide something so that that process will enter into the critical section, right? So these are the three conditions. Once that these three conditions obeyed by any process, so that problem will be solved. Getting this? So what we have seen? We have seen the process synchronization and the critical section. So we have seen this critical section, what that problem is here, and we have seen that solution also. So see, this code is most important, right? You just understand this code. Now here again there is one the way to solve that critical section. That critical section to solve that, so that way is semaphore. Using the semaphore, we can solve that again that critical section problem, right? So what that semaphore is? So it is simply a integer variable. That semaphore is what? This is simply a integer variable. So this the semaphore is used to solve that critical section problem, right? And initially that some value is assigned that variable. As I said, this is a simple variable. So using this semaphore, or we can say this variable, we can solve the critical section problem also, right? So how that will solve, that we'll see. But it is having the two basic operation. Using these two basic operations, or we can say atomic operations, that problem will be solved. So first is wait, and second one is signal. These are the two operations. Using these two operations, we can solve that critical section problem. So here I'll write the variable for wait and variable for signal, right? As I said, semaphore is a simply integer variable that you just keep in your mind, right? And the first operation is like wait. So this is a function wait, and suppose this is a variable. This is an integer variable. Here while s is less than or equals to 0, and here that semicolon is there. and yes, sorry, yes minus minus. This is for weight, and for signal I'll just write here as this is again an integer variable. That's it. You can see these are the functions to solve the critical section problem using semaphore. So these are the two functions, or we can say operations, for the semaphore. So you can see here, this is for decrement, we can say decrement the value, and this is for increment the value. Right? So now let we see how we can solve that the critical section problem using the semaphore, right? So this code, you just understand this is a problem. So here we just generalized that function. Now we'll use this semaphore to solve this. Now here we'll see to critical section problem using semaphore. Right? Now see, consider four processes, P1, P2, P3 and P4. These are the four processes, or we can consider the n processes, but we'll take few processes only for the understanding. And the processes wants to enter into critical section. Critical section, right? Now see that code that we know here. To this side I'll write the previous one, and to this side I'll just write the semaphore code. So what is that code? First old code. Okay. Do, and here was the entry section code. And suppose here that critical section and exit section code, and again here it was remaining. This is non-common, we can say. True, right? So this we know. As I said, to enter into this critical section, first that process need to execute this enter section code, and to exit, again this exit code that process need to execute. Right? Now I'll just write using semaphore the same thing. Right? Do. Now see, so here at entry the section we are using that function like weight s, right? Then suppose here critical section, I'll just write here and signal as, and suppose here remaining code. Right now, see, we'll just test the processes. Suppose process P1, P2 and P3, these three processes wants to execute this critical section code. And see, one thing is here into this the semaphore initial value. I think I have written or not here, not written. So here initial value of S is 1. That you just keep in your mind, right? Now here we'll see when that process, any process can enter into this critical section. So when that value of S becomes 0, then and then that process can enter into the critical section. Now see here, this code is what? While S is not less than, is less than or equals to 0, and see here this is semicolon. It means whatever is this while statement, this is the ending here itself. There is no any body under this while, and whatever is this S minus minus, this is outside of this while loop. This you just keep in your mind, right? So this is independent statement and this is independent statement. This S minus minus is not a body of this one. Now see, as I said here, S equals to 1 initially, then that process, suppose P1 is coming here, and here S is 1, right? Now if that S value is 1, so this wait function will execute. So S value is 1, and this is not true, right? You can see here S value is 1. So that's why this, whatever is that control, that will pass to the here S minus minus. Now after executing this one, that S value becomes 0, right? So you can see now updated S value is 0, so that P1 will enter into the critical section, right? Now suppose consider that P1 is there into the critical section and this P2 wants to enter into the critical section. Getting my point? P1 is already there into the critical section and this P2 wants to enter into the critical section. It means this P2 again needs to execute this entry code, that is wait function, right? Now suppose P2 is coming here into this. Now what is the recent value of S? You can see here S value is 0. It means when that P2 enters into this function, suppose here you just come here, so S value is 0. It means this condition is true for P2. Sorry. So as this condition is true, so this loop will enter into infinite state. Infinite state, because there is no any termination condition, because that S is 0. So this loop is entering into the infinite state, and this control is not going to the next statement. This is S minus minus, right? Now suppose that the S is just into the infinite loop and that P1 is there into the critical section. That's why, because of this control is not going to the next statement, so P2 is not entering into this critical section code. Getting this? Suppose now P2 is here, P2 is executing only this while statement again and again and again. It is not going to the next statement. In between, suppose that P1 completed its execution from the critical section and it go out of this critical section. Now see, what is the signal function? Signal function is simply increment. So current value of S is what? 0. So here what we do? Simply S plus plus, right? So that S value becomes 1. Completed that P1 execution from critical section, exited, complete, successfully executed that signal as function. It means exited. After just executing this statement, that value of S becomes 1, right? And when this value of S becomes 1, so here whatever the P2 was just here into this while statement, as that P1 S value becomes 1, so this condition becomes false and it will come to the next statement. And again that S minus minus, so again that S value becomes 0. And as this S value is 0, now next process in critical section is P2. Now you can see P1 is not into critical section, now P2 is there into the critical section. Now this will execute that critical section. Again, suppose when that P2 is there into the critical section, so P3 wants to enter into the critical section. Again, same, that value of S is what? 0. Again, that P3 will execute this wait function and it comes to this first statement, that is while. Again, that value of S is 0. So that's why this again will enter into the infinite state. So that will execute itself again and again and again. So this P3 control will not pass to the next statement, to the this S minus minus, because that P2 is there. And when that P2 complete that execution of this critical section and exit from this, again this will execute this signal as, that is increment function, so that S value becomes 1. When the moment when that S value becomes 1, so P3 execution will go for the next step, that is S minus minus, and again this becomes 0 and that P3 will enter into the critical section. Have understood this? So in this way, we can see only one process we can allow to enter into the critical section using this semaphore. Understood? I think you might understood this. This is very simple, the problem, right? Now here, only one thing I'll just tell you here. So there are two types of semaphore. First is counting semaphore. And second one is binary semaphore. And as I said, only the semaphore is nothing but the variable. Only here, the difference is what? Whatever is the variable, the value in counting semaphore, that varies from minus infinity to plus infinity. So in this, that variable, the value is minus infinity to plus infinity, and in binary semaphore, that value is either 0 or 1. And whatever this example we have seen here, so we have seen that binary semaphore, because that value was either, you can see here, this value either 0 or 1, 0 or 1. So that's why we can say in this example we have used that binary semaphore, right? So these are the two types of semaphores, right? So I think you might understood. If you are having any query, you can ask. Till now we have seen. Now I'll just show you the PPTs quickly, because everything I have just explained here. And very shortly I'll just explain. If you are having any kind of doubt, you can ask till this point. Any doubt you can ask in between of this process synchronization. I'll just go through quickly with these slides. Of process synchronization is a way to coordinate the processes that uses shared data, as I said, and this problem is there in only cooperating processes. That already I just told you. And this is a critical section. Critical section will be used by all these three cooperating processes, but that condition is only one process would be there into the critical section, and that is nothing but the mutual exclusion that already I just told you. These are the two types already we have seen, independent and cooperative. This is a critical section problem. So critical section is a code segment that can be accessed by only one process at a time, right? So you can see here, I have just written in the red color that you just assume that is a critical section. You can see the critical section means any code, right? Or we can say that there is a place where we can have the shared variables. We can put the shared variables, and the all other cooperating processes can access the shared variable from that place. Okay? So critical section contains shared variable which needs to synchronize to maintain consistency of variables. And this that same thing is just written in the entry section. The process request for entry in critical section. You can see here whatever is this entry section. So that process first needs to execute this entry section. After execution of this entry section, then and then that process will enter into the critical section. That is the thing here, right? So these are the solutions. This is the solution to the critical section. So solution to critical section must satisfy these three conditions. First is mutual exclusion, second is progress, and third one is bounded waiting. So what is the mutual exclusion? If a process is executed in a critical section, then no other process is allowed to enter into the critical section. Already I just told you only one process would be there into that critical section. Other process will not be allowed there to enter into the critical section. This is nothing but the mutual exclusion. And progress is what? If no process is in critical section, then no other processes from outside can block it from entering in critical section, right? So you can see here, if suppose P1, suppose three processes are there, P1, P2, P3, and only P1 is needs to enter into the critical section and other two are not, then these two processes should not block that P1 from entering into the critical section, right? Now bounded waiting is what? A bound must exist on the number of times that other processes are allowed to enter the critical section. Already I just told you, if suppose P1 and P2 repeatedly entering into the critical section, then suppose other process like P3 or P4 needs to enter into the critical section, but these two processes are going repeatedly into the critical section and executing and not giving chance to the other process. In that case, we need to set some kind of time, or we need to set the how many times one process can enter into the critical section. So bound must exist on the number of times that other processes are allowed to enter their critical section after a process has made a request to enter its critical section before that request is granted, right? So these are the three the solutions, conditions we can say to solve that critical section problem. Now next one, we have seen the semaphore. So semaphore is a just integer variable, and the semaphore is used to solve that critical section problem, right? So semaphore are integer variables that are used to solve the critical section problem. After initialization, it can only be accessed by two atomic operations. These are the two atomic operations. This one is the signal. Right? So these are the two operations. One is wait and second one is signal. As I said, this wait is for simply increment operation kind of, and this is this is the decrement operation kind of, and this is increment kind of. So here only that code is different. This while we have written, and this while is what that semicolon is here. You can see here. It means at this line there is no body for that while. This is a single statement. and whatever is this s minus minus, this is not part of this while, that you just understand. So this while is a individual statement, individual body we can say, and that s minus minus is outside of that while. So that is not part of that while. So this is a wait function and this is a signal function. So wait is for the decrement and the signal is for the increment. Right? Now this the problem to solve using the semaphore. That same thing I just explained here. The wait s. So see this is to use to enter any process into the critical section. So when that process can enter into the critical section, if suppose that value of that process becomes 0, final value, huh? Because here suppose s value initially is 1, so this is not equal, this condition is fail, that's why that this will come here, and that value becomes 0 from 1 to 0 because this is s minus minus. So here when that value becomes 0, then that process will enter into this critical section, and after execution of that critical section, that process needs to execute this signal as function. This is the exit code, right? This wait s is the entry code and that signal s is the exit code. After executing this exit code, so that value of s will be incremented by 1, so that s becomes 1, and when that becomes 1, so other process will enter into the critical section, right? So these are this is the problem, and these are the two we can say semaphores. Only here you just understand. So counting semaphore is having value minus infinity to plus infinity, and binary semaphore is having value 0 and 1, right? So here just that same thing I have written. These are the integer value semaphores and have an unrestricted value domain. There is no any restriction on that value domain. That's why I said minus infinity to plus infinity. These semaphores are used to coordinate the resource access, where the semaphore count is the number of number of available resources. So if suppose that the whatever that count that represent that the number of resources, in that case you can use the counting semaphores. If the resources are added, semaphore count automatically incremented, and if resources are removed, the count is decremented. So we'll see one example. After this, I have one example that is actually problem. So to solve that problem, we need to use that counting semaphore as well as binary semaphore. So I'll just tell you both semaphore examples. So don't worry here. Only here understand that counting semaphore is not having any boundary for the values assigned to that variable. But in binary semaphore, there is a boundary because 0 and 1 only the values we can consider for that variable s into the binary semaphore. So the binary semaphores are like counting semaphores, but their value is restricted to 0 and 1, right? So the wait operations only works when the semaphore is 1 and the signal operation succeed when semaphore is 0. So I think this part we have seen. If you have any kind of query, you can ask me. The next part that is most important, that is one problem, just like this critical section problem. The next problem is producer consumer problem is there. So we'll try to solve that the producer consumer problem using semaphore also. Right? So that we'll see tomorrow because that is a bigger one problem, right? So if you are having any kind of query till this, you can ask me. And see, it is the somewhat confusing, so don't be confused, right? Because here you just understand one critical section is there, and at a time only one process we can allow to enter into that critical section. So with respect to that, only other parts are there. Okay, so I think this is done from my side. From your side, if you are having any doubt, you can ask me till this. And see, tomorrow that lecture would be at 8:30 in the morning. Huh? because I'm not free at 12. So that's why tomorrow at 8:30 I'll just take your lecture. So any doubt, or shall I just end up? Okay. If there is no doubt, then I'll just end up this. Only the tomorrow that lecture is at 8:30 morning, right? So just pass on this message to all. Tomorrow at 8:30 we'll have the lecture. Okay. So anything there in chatting? No. Okay. Thank you then. Thank you.